right, so let's go ahead and introduce our players. Starting in the mid right-hand position, we have Nightend, the Bred Protoss player who, I guess he was in contention for the wild card spot last season, but lost it to Thorzane, and Select was in that group as well, the tiebreaker.
Yeah, it was a three-person tie.
Right.
Absolutely crazy.
Regardless of what happens, the fact that you can even be in Season 4 with some of the other huge names, I think is just an awesome platform to prove himself. He's going to have to do it against Dimaga, the runner-up at DreamHack earlier this year, who doesn't really have that good of a streak in ZVP, Andre. He's lost 10 in a row, which isn't that great. But, I mean, if it's the Dima that we all know and love, you can't ever count him out.
By the way, what is your prediction for this matchup?
Oh, I picked Dimaga because, I mean, yes, I guess he's been struggling against some recent Protosses. I mean, he's lost to Puzzle, Titan, MC, Sase, Mana. But I mean, these are names that you shouldn't be ashamed to lose to. And I think Dimaga is still on a little bit higher playing level than Nightend, I think, overall, because Dimaga has some pretty good results. Again, getting second at DreamHack. I picked Dimaga overall.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a very safe bet. Overall, I think Dimaga is seen as the favorite, but just like Vibe, Nightend is the type of person that really doesn't get a lot of credit, and it's because he's not really in a lot of high-profile tournaments. You don't see him all the time, and when he does, he doesn't place terribly high. Yes, he does well. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with, but the problem is he doesn't travel all over the place, and that's something I think a lot of the Fnatic players share. They really focus on training, and then they bust out with like IPL and just win it straight up.
Right. Of course, you're alluding to Alive. And I would also say that Nightend's not a guy that draws a lot of attention to himself at tournaments either, so it's not exactly the case where he can kind of just use his personality per se. But I think people should start paying attention more to him now. Nightend's immediately starting to wall off on Metropolis. It's an easier map to kind of turtle back and start the game basically with 3 bases. A lot of people had that complaint about Metropolis, but then Protoss players started going for huge 2-base Immortal pushes, and that's kind of where the game has kind of stabilized. Will he go for the 2-base? Will he just sit back and get the 3rd base? What are your thoughts on Metropolis, Andre? Because I know you were very vocal about it before we had our map.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Metropolis, just because a lot of times all-ins don't work, especially with Zerg. So there's no real emphasis on Protoss defending any early game strategies. It's like, I know you're going to macro. There's nothing you can really do. And what that actually does is it allows Protoss to play at a wider range, because they can go a lot more intense with their Chrono Boost on the Nexus and just get a huge economy. Conversely, they can go everything on, let's say, the Forge, the Cybernetics Core, and just get a really fast push. And that's very challenging to actually go up against when you are Zerg. Just that huge broad spectrum, you don't know necessarily when to drone, and good Protosses will always deny your scouting, make it very difficult for them to read what you're doing. So if Nightend does that, he's going to force Dimaga to play a little bit more inefficient. That's why we see a lot of all-ins being a lot more effective, because Zergs want to play economic, but these all-ins come at premature timings that you're not used to, because they don't have to worry about all-ins.
Yep, and I think I agree, Andre, and I think that's going to be really tough for a normal Zerg. But Dimaga is a guy that says, well, I'm going to get earlier speed. I know other players like Destiny really loves doing this kind of stuff, where you get a very fast metabolic boost for your Zerglings, and as a result, control the map a lot better, scout more efficiently, especially because a lot of Protosses fake that 3rd. They even start that 3rd canceled. You need to be able to spot it, and sometimes Overlord scouts, even at the 7-minute mark, just isn't enough.
Yeah, when you go Zergling style in ZVP, you need to be preemptive. You need to be proactive with your initial Zerglings, because as soon as you let's say, this pylon up near your 3rd base, it's done. It's over. You're dead. Because what happens is they're able to actually start their count way over in a position where you don't want them starting. You want them walking all the way across map and using something like a warp prism if they want to warp in. Your Zergling should be proactive enough in the beginning stage, and that's why you need that metabolic boost so early.
Well, Dimaga's already starting to add a couple more gases. You can see that Nightend is also adding Robo and Twilight Tech simultaneously very early on. Might try to squeeze out a +2 and Blink. And yes, Blink has just started, so Nightend, very quick, greedy gas usage at this point. Starting to work on Destructible Rocks, though, which I don't necessarily understand. If he's going to go for this fast attack, doesn't he want to push?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I'm not sure what he's doing. Maybe it's just to fake it out. I mean, these sentries are going to take 10 years to actually kill these destructible rocks. That's absolutely right. Because if you see no destructible rocks being taken out over here, you're like, what is my opponent doing? This is kind of suspicious. Nightend is actually killing the pylon. Of course, Dimaga doesn't know this is happening just yet, but if he did, it's like, okay, you're probably wanting to send out a probe around now.
We'll see what happens. Dimaga starting +1/+1. Ooh, in the process of making a lot of Zerglings, but of course Dimaga's already been on top of his droning, already at 63. My goodness, that's what you can do if you're just pretty much focusing on only Zerglings at this point in the game. War Prism on the way for Nightend as well. He could load up his sentries and immediately start dropping, but he is finishing up 4 more gates. That's going to put him at a total of 7, Andre, is that correct?
Yes, it is 7. And this is kind of a nice opening, I think, from Nightend. Obviously, War Prisms are those units that really allow you to be super mobile. And Zerglings have a hard time keeping up, but oh my gosh!
Blink's not finished, Andre. He's going to catch a bunch of these Stalkers. A huge pickoff for Dimaga. Oh my goodness, 5 Stalkers. That is 250 gas, so expensive. Oh, is he going to be able to get in? No, the force field does block off, but wow, was that costly.
Wow.
Supply counts, very telling of what's happening right now.
Honestly, that's game ending right there. Dimaga is taking his 4th base because of that. That's very intelligent for him to do. You can see the War Prism is actually pushing out here, looking to actually do a force field trick. I think it's going to be very difficult to actually keep up with this. Of course, Nightend will have the element of surprise, but really he has there's no power behind this. He will actually be warping in, it looks like, Blink Stalkers. And the way to counter this correctly would be to actually get Infestors out. Once you get Infestors, you can lock down Blink Stalkers completely, and you can't, as Protoss, you can't do any damage.
Andre, he also blinked on the low ground. Vice Natural again.
Oh my
more
gosh.
Stalkers getting caught.
What is he doing?
He thought he had more room to be able to blink, but he loses 5 out of the 7 Stalkers. The War Prism is now at the natural ramp, but honestly, man,
this is a problem, though. I didn't think it would actually go over here. And now look at this. Dimaga has a ton of Zerglings just waiting to get up there, but there's no chance for him to actually get it. Oh! Nightend actually misses a critical force field right there. Lets a couple of Zerglings in. That is a big problem.
Now he has to be very cautious. The sentries are getting attacked at this point, and looks like the Stalkers are providing good coverage. They do have +2, which is very good for the Stalkers to be able to kill the Zerglings faster, but realistically, how much damage can Nightend really be able to execute at this point? Because Dimaga's got so many Zerglings, and now the Queen, if he's able to target the War Prism, will be able to shut down the harassing.
I think Dimaga should actually lose his main from this. I mean, there's no foreseeable way for Dimaga to actually get back up into this top. And all he needs to do is actually continuously warp in more sentries, and he's fine.
Ooh, a small little slot. Doesn't really matter, though. Dimaga also has a lot of banelings morphing right outside the natural of Nightend, ready to bust. Oh, he's making 12 more. Really wants to crash the gates. And that's going to cripple Nightend's economy, and he's going to not really be able to reinforce past a couple more waves. Nightend's also supply box, so he can't warp him back at home. This is going to do so much damage.
Literally like 5 seconds is going to actually make the difference here. And here the banelings crash in, absolutely devastating all the cannons and the pylons. And there you can see everything's depowered. Banelings coming in here, and it doesn't even matter. Dimaga can lose his main. I mean, just the fact that he got so far ahead in that beginning stage, that's what really did it. Killing those Stalkers, I can't emphasize that enough. When you're on a map like Metropolis, you really need to start that count up ASAP in order to, continuously blink micro these Zerglings.
Imagine if Nightend still had 10 extra Stalkers on top of this. His army would look incredibly strong. But I don't even think that he'd be able to really do anything, because Dimaga has more bases, and he can handle the bases, or handle the base trade very nicely. Although Nightend does have a few sentries and zealots warping him back at his natural. And the Stalkers are starting to dwindle here, because Dimaga has +2/+2, and +3 didn't finish for the Stalkers. And Dimaga's also going to go for the high ground as well. Great flank and execution. The Stalker count getting very low. Nightend's being revealed. And it's only a matter of time before Dimaga whittles down the remainder of the units. Nightend's supply very poor. He's got 0 economy. 1 probe is only out in the field at this point. And the remainder of the sentries getting picked off at the natural ramp. Dimaga playing very well. Great decision making. And staying on top of his macro as well. GG.
It's unfortunate. Nightend I felt like just lost in those initial 5 Stalkers. Where do you actually go from there? You know, you can do what Nightend did. I think it was very effective, but you have to realize at some point, hey, I have sentries on the top. I don't need to warp in anymore. Let me just make sure my natural's okay. Get some sentries over there, and I will be playing from ahead.
Man, Nightend's gonna have so many like scared games from this point on of moving out your stalkers. Like, is it okay? And the
That's exactly right.
Stalkers like hiding
That's
behind the other
exactly
stalkers.
right.
Like, is it okay to go out? But at this point, Dimaga is up 1-0. He has to win one more to claim the best of 3, but we'll find out after a quick commercial break. Let's thank Epson, the #1 projector brand worldwide, for all their assistance in NASL and providing full line of brilliant image quality projectors. We'll be back in 1 minute with game number 2 between Nightend and Dimaga. Stay tuned.